Okay, so I found this article and it's called 15 Ways to Achieve Financial Freedom, and I got it on RamseySolutions.com. I'm just gonna go down the list and see how I feel about this advice. All right, here are ways you can start achieving financial freedom today. Financial freedom, as defined in this article, is when you have flexibility in your budget to withstand unexpected expenses. So for example, if your washing machine goes out, or you need new tires, or you have to take an emergency trip across country to be with family because of a medical emergency. When these unexpected expenses come up, you're not fretting over how you're going to be able to afford them. So you can take care of what you need to take care of and then not necessarily have to worry about the money piece. Personally, I think that financial freedom is that point when you feel pretty good about the direction you're going in like the big picture, like you have a really good handle on like how you're going to make money, how you're going to reach your financial goals. There is a goal in mind. Like that to me is financial freedom. And maybe it's more like a state of mind and relaxedness around their money so that it doesn't become like a high stressor or high anxiety topic. It's just another thing that you have to do in the day, like tie your shoes or brush your teeth or drive a car. It's just part of living. It doesn't need to necessarily be anxiety producing. Learn how to budget. Yeah, you definitely have to learn how to budget. And there are, we're living in an age where every fintech firm out there is offering some kind of monitoring system. I use software through Quicken. It's been a game changer. It's so easy to link all the different financial institutions that I use. I can see from bottom to top how much I have in my banking relationships, if I have any credit card debt, how much do I owe on my mortgage, and at the bottom I have a net worth number. Something about being able to see like the meta view on a daily basis gives me comfort. So maybe yes, learn how to first keep track of your money. And I think part of it too is just like this comfort with checking frequently reduces the amount of stress. Just like anything you do in life, the more you do it, the less stressful it becomes because it just becomes habit. And then as far as learning how to budget, yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not the greatest at budgeting, so I have to use all the tools that are available to me. Luckily, the software that I do use offers a budgeting component that helps me keep track of the allotted amount of money I'm able to spend in a given category. I'll say another thing too about budgeting. It requires that you be rigorously honest with yourself. Like we say this in 12-step recovery, like you don't get better unless you're honest with yourself. So if you are not keeping track of where the money is going, and I mean, think about it, when people are tracking like calories or their protein intake or whatever they're doing for their like fitness and dietary things, just like anything, if it gets tracked, if it gets measured, it will improve. Because you have focus and attention on something that previously was not getting the love and attention that it needed. I think I said this before, that your relationship to money is just like any other relationship. It needs and it deserves attention and care for it to be a good relationship. Get out of debt. Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes it's unavoidable or it's just part of your story. Don't beat yourself up if you have a lot of it, but don't get into more credit card debt today. Just stop using your credit cards altogether. Even if you're using it to get those rewards points, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're carrying a balance. You're not actually getting a reward. You're paying for that reward through the high interest rate that you're paying on the other side of that credit card. So stay away from high interest credit card debt. You really only need one to get a good credit score going, and I'll talk about that in another video. And for the most part, your debit card can do a lot of things your credit card can do. Are you gonna get points? No, but until you've built up the discipline to use a credit card the correct way, which is to put transactions on it, get the points, and then pay off that monthly balance every month, then you have no business using a rewards card, because what it'll do is it'll tempt you to use that card when you don't have the cash to cover the expense. It actually gets you to spend more than you actually have. You're doing a weird mental accounting thing in your head because credit card money somehow is different than debit card money. And if for you feel a difference when you spend money on a credit card versus spending money on a debit card, then that is indicative that you should not be using a credit card. Set financial goals, be specific, have them be measurable, have a deadline, make sure they're your own goals. Oh, I like that piece. And put your goals in writing. Yeah, absolutely. Part of the financial planning process, I ask people like, what do you want? Do you want a house? Great. By when? How much of a house? Where is it gonna be? When do you want it? Who's gonna live with you? Like all of these things help inform how you're going to afford this specific goal. Think about anything you wanna do. Do you wanna travel more? Okay. Are you sitting in the front of the plane? Are you in economy class? Are you gonna be in a 4-star hotel, a 2-star hotel? Everything you wanna do has a financial component, and when you know what things cost, you can work backwards and say, okay, for that trip to Japan, I'm gonna need $4,000 to do it the way I want to. So from now until September, I've got to figure out a way to sock away $4,000. So you see, the goal was to go to Japan. You figured out how much it would cost to do the trip right. So there was some research involved. There was a deadline. You want to be on that trip by September. Put it in writing. So I'm very woo-woo. And by woo-woo, I mean like, I'm open to the universe giving me gifts when I'm ready to receive them. And I think one of the ways that here's like some coachy woo-woo stuff from Northern California. When you are ready to help manifest these things in your life, you gotta put them down. You gotta put them down in writing. I used to do I still do a vision board. And I think it's important to have a vision board because when you have one, you can envision yourself achieving that specific goal. And part of the challenge in any kind of goal setting is just believing and seeing yourself having achieved that goal. Okay, that's my plug for some woo-woo stuff. But yeah, definitely have some financial goals and write them down. If you are not already sitting on a pile of cash that can be converted into some kind of passive income stream, you're gonna have to work for your money, and that means you're gonna have to be smart about the career that you take. I want you to ask yourself, what kind of work will be interesting and keep me engaged for the next 5 years? What kind of education or skills or training are required of me to be in that position? If the job requires a lot of training, certification, you have to ask yourself, is it going to be worth it, and is it going to be viable in the end? I personally went into quite a bit of student loan debt to go to a 4-year Jesuit liberal arts college here in San Francisco, and I could have gone to a state school, I could have gone to a community college, but I chose to go to a 4-year university. And then after that, I went to a private university for my master's program. Those were decisions that I made because I believed that on the other end, with my business degree and with my master's in financial planning, that I would be in a position to pay off those student loans. Luckily, I am in a position where I have completed those degrees, and those degrees today are serving me because the income I make helps to pay for the loans that I took on. Having an emergency fund is a very smart idea. It's very easy for me to tell you to do it. Is it easy to actually do it? It's not that easy to do it, especially if your expenses are right up there with your income and there isn't a lot of margin there for additional savings. It can feel like a very unattainable goal, but slowly you will get there. Anytime you get a bonus, anytime you get a tax return, you might, instead of spending it, put a good portion of that into your savings account. One of the things that I like to do is whenever a client gets like a windfall of money, I say you have the 3/3 rule. So a third goes to your future retirement, third goes to your present, enjoy your money today on something that makes you feel good, and then number 3, you have money go towards your past. So is that debt? Possibly. Conventional wisdom says to save 3 to 6 months of expenses. So I have a little bit more nuanced approach to this. If you are in an industry that is highly sought after and you're a highly skilled worker and you're very confident that if you lost your job today, that you would be recruited or you would be headhunted or you would be picked up by a new firm in fairly short order, then you can potentially afford to have less in your emergency fund. A nurse, for example, they always seem to have a lot of shortages in that industry. So if a nurse loses a job in one hospital, it might not be that difficult for them to be employed at a new hospital in short order. Feels good for you to have a year's worth of monthly expenses, then you might have to do that. I might caution you though, because if you're gonna do more than a year's worth of monthly expenses, that could be a really high number. And then you have to ask yourself, like, am I living in a scarcity mentality, or is it actually prudent for me to be saving this amount of money in my savings account? Invest for your retirement future. Well, yes, I want you to invest in your retirement future. You're gonna do that through the most efficient way possible, which is gonna be through your company's 401k. If your company doesn't offer a 401k, you're gonna open an IRA, possibly a Roth IRA. There are plenty of resources out there that'll tell you it is important to start early, and I 100% agree with that. Even if it's not a large percentage of your income going to your retirement account, at least it's something. Please, 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 at least do as much of a contribution that your company will match. If you do not do that, your company is basically handing you money and you are leaving it on the table. So if you need help walking through that, ask a financial professional, but at the very minimum, be contributing to your 401k. Here's why you wouldn't be so gung-ho about maximum funding of your 401k. If you have high interest credit card debt, like at 26%, 17%, that's gonna be way more than you would ever get in a stock market portfolio. I mean, there's caveats to that and black swan events, but essentially you're better off prioritizing paying down all of that credit card debt before you go back and contribute more than the amount that is going to be matched by your employer. And there are lots of resources that talk about the benefits of a 401k, but one of the benefits that you get to reap immediately is a reduction in your income tax. But it's the most expensive expense in everybody's life, and that is taxes. So whatever you can do to bring that number down, you should be doing it. There's nothing patriotic about paying more taxes than you need to. Number 8, look for ways to save money. I cut my own hair. I think it's pretty okay, and that saves me about $120 a month. I also trim my dog's hair. Like, I learned how to become a groomer during the pandemic, and I do that for him, and I save $180 each time I do that. So just those two things alone save more than $300 a month. If you're a little bit creative and if you spend a little bit of time researching how can I save money doing the things that I have to do on a regular basis, there's gonna be someone who has vlogged or made a YouTube or written about it in somewhere on the internet. You're not gonna be the only person that's trying to save money. So be resourceful and go out there and try to find ways to save it for yourself. Low-hanging fruit though, with almost everybody I work with, they all say, I could spend less on dining out. Dining out, I don't know if you've noticed, is very expensive right now, and you're better off cooking as many of your meals at home. And if take a look at all of your subscriptions, when I have a new client and they feel like their spending is unmanaged or out of control, I have them look at their statements, and chances are this will be the first time in a long time that they've looked this closely. And one of the things that I do is I have them print out 3 months of statements, credit card and banking statements, and I want them to highlight every transaction that is discretionary. So discretionary is everything that you pay for that is a want or a wish. It is not a need. Needs are like electricity bill, phone bill, water, garbage, laundry, groceries, insurance, fuel for the car. Like, those are things you need. And you'll be surprised to see that maybe just paying for the things you need is actually quite affordable. It's gonna be all the extra things that you add on to your expenses over time. This phenomenon is called lifestyle creep. So it's when your income goes up, all of a sudden your spending goes up, and it just keeps happening. And you can keep earning more and more money, but this habit of increasing your lifestyle each time prevents you from actually getting ahead financially. The way you do that, and it's the next one on this list, is you live below your means. You know, in my 20s, I lived fast and I used my credit card very irresponsibly. I bought a car I could not afford, and that debt followed me well into my 30s. And I have a strong respect for credit cards and for the lending industry as a whole, because it can just follow you, and it can be a drag, like quite literally like a drag on you. And I was able to make a change when I stopped trying to live a lifestyle beyond what I could afford. And that forced me to make some decisions about being honest with some folks and telling them that, like, hey, I can't actually afford to do the thing that you want to do, despite my wanting to do it. And my biggest fear is that, like, I would lose friends or something because of it. And actually what I've found out is when I am honest with those people closest to me about like what is going on really in my financial life, it gives them permission to be vulnerable and kind of share the same thing. They might say something like, yeah, that was a fun idea to want to go to that concert in a different city and stay in a hotel and all that, but I actually have some credit card debt that probably should be paid down before I do anything like that. But having an open and honest conversation with the people around you with money can help also bring down the anxiety and this like stigma about it being a taboo topic. So talk about it. Talk about it with the people around you. It'll make it less burdensome. Help your kids save for college. Yes, there are different accounts like a 529 account or an educational savings account that are specific to folks that want to save money for their children. If you're gonna help your kids out financially, one of the best ways to do it is by investing in their education. If you're feeling generous, pay for their tuition more than buy them a car. That is probably gonna be, in the long run, a way more mindful, thoughtful, efficient use of the money versus something that there's like an effect that happens when you buy something new and shiny. It eventually becomes less new and shiny, and then you're on to the next thing. You're like, ooh, I see another want. It goes along with that lifestyle creep thing. Like, there will always be things out there that you're gonna want. The marketers out there want me to believe that I will only be happy when I have the thing that they're trying to sell to me. Be smarter than them. You are smarter than them. The advice here is to pay off your mortgage early. Okay, I will say yes to paying your mortgage off early. If you have no credit card debt, you have sufficient amount of money in your emergency fund, and you're max contributing to your 401k, then I think it'd be a good use of your money. Possibly, I don't know. It depends on your interest rate. Like, if you're in a very low interest rate, I might say, maybe take your time on that mortgage if you're like in the 4%, because maybe you can put that money in the stock market instead. And that's another conversation that we need to have, and very nuanced, and should be had with a professional. 12, make health a priority. Yes, absolutely. Your health is a priority. So brush your teeth, floss, go to the dentist, take their advice, because I don't know if you noticed this, but dental work is so expensive. Also, like, mind your diet, do a little bit of exercise, control your drinking, try not to smoke. Like, all of these things have a financial consequence tied to them. Not only is your health at risk, your financial well-being is also at risk, because if you become chronically ill, a good portion of your income now goes towards copays and medications and trips to the hospital, and pretty soon you become consumed with your health issues and other priorities like earning more money or going back to school so you can increase your earning potential. Like, everything else in your life becomes less available if you're not healthy. So work on maintaining good, healthy habits. 13, get the right insurance. Yeah, get the right insurance. And here's the list of insurance that they say you should have, and I agree with it completely. Term life insurance, auto insurance, homeowners and renters insurance, health insurance, long-term disability insurance, long-term care insurance, identity theft protection, and an umbrella policy. I think it would be maybe beneficial for me to do a video on like each one of these. So there's an idea. It's coming up. Make sure you like and subscribe so you know when those videos come out. Number 14, work with a financial advisor. Just kidding, it doesn't have to be me, but if you're reaching this maximum ceiling of complexity in your financial life, go seek out some help. There are a lot of resources out there. And if you want to begin the conversation with me, I can help you find someone in your neck of the woods that will be helpful for you in your situation. But make sure you get yourself a certified financial planner. And number 15, be generous with others. I think it's good advice to be generous with others. You know, my personal belief that the best use of money is to use it to help someone, and not in a way where they become like dependent on you, but you know, if there are organizations or charities or initiatives that like are in alignment with your personal values, then hell yeah, put money towards that. But you can't get into a place where you can help others if you have not helped yourself first. So I hope that was helpful. You know, I ran through a lot of things kind of really quickly, but you know what? It gave me a lot of ideas of what else I can talk about in some other videos. So I'm gonna leave it here, but do everything that's on this list. Take care of your health, take care of your wealth, and remember, I wish you prosperity in all things today and every day. I'll see you next time.